well, next thing, we'll take a break from cleats for just a brief second. I posted about this week, and we're going to talk about, and that's going to be, we're doing an upcoming video with some Riddell stuff right there that we can't really talk about yet. At some point we will. Hopefully the video comes out soon. But with that, what I wanted to talk about was a while ago we talked about Oakley renewing their deal. And so Oakley redid their partnership on-field licensing deal through 2030. But now Riddell has also done the same thing. So Riddell's deal is completely different from Oakley's. So with Oakley's deal, it's an on-field licensing deal that anyone in the NFL wearing a visor has to have the Oakley visor tabs, has to be an Oakley visor. Riddell's is different because it's kind of like a double dip. So they are they pay I don't know if they pay for there's no on-field licensing of helmet names because they all put their own bumpers, Dolphins, the fins on the front, whatever, they put that stuff. But this deal is around the collectibles. So if you want to buy any collectible helmet, it has been and will be through 2030 a Riddell helmet. So what that basically means, for example, is if you go right now to Green Gridiron, and if you want to get any NFL issued, so you could go on eBay, you could go on Facebook, there are groups where you can buy collectible helmets and someone will custom make you a Shut F7 and a Miami Dolphins or whatever you want. Who cares? They can do that. But if you want from a licensed provider of any of this stuff collectible, it has to be Riddell, and it's going to be Riddell through 2030. So any of these helmets here, you'll notice any of the collectibles will only come in Riddell models. So most commonly and the cheapest is going to be the Speed. They have cheaper ones, and then it gets all the way up into Speed Flex, alternate helmets, all that kind of stuff. You can get the cheaper ones still if you don't want like an actual game, usable helmet. They have the Riddell ones here with kind of missing the padding that are a cheaper option. So they have that. But yeah, all the collectible stuff that you can get with it NFL issued will be Riddell through 2030. What do you guys think?
I've never even noticed that. It was something that I guess I always saw that it was always Riddell whenever you'd go into like a team store, but I guess I never realized that they cornered the market on selling like actual licensed helmets. And you learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's not something I was aware of either. Like I was thinking of collectible helmets I've had in the past. I have this old Riddell VSR 4 collectible from the 90s, and it's Riddell even all the way back then. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen a Shut collectible helmet. I'm not sure I have. So I guess they really have, like you said, cornered that market entirely. So good for them, I guess, right?
You got to be a big player to deal with the NFL. You got to have deep pockets.
Deep pockets.
And Shut and Visus or whatever might have more money now that they're under Centaur Sports Group or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But being in the helmet game to begin with is super expensive with all the testing, with all the R&D, with everything you have to do.
Yeah.
There's not really many companies out there that can fork over this money that aren't named Riddell, Oakley, Nike, Adidas. That's it's expensive to work with the NFL. The other thing I did look into, by the way, just out of curiosity, is I was like, oh, it's 2030. Why is it the same year as Oakley's? And I poked around and I actually couldn't find anything on it. I looked at all the deals that they did with networks because I was like, oh, maybe they're, doing 2030 as a big year for their deals with ESPN, ABC, Fox, maybe everything NFL related expires in 2030, and it doesn't. It's kind of across the board. ESPN's is through 2033, ABC's is through 2030, Fox is 2032. So yeah, I kind of was hoping for an aha moment of 2030, everything resets, the market on NFL resets, but no, it's scattered crazy across the board. I don't know why they picked 2030. Maybe it's just because they already did that with Oakley and they figured they make it consistent. It also might be that to do with the fact that if you buy an NFL collectible, maybe it'll have an Oakley visor. Maybe there's some kind of double dipping there on the branding of what goes into a collectible. So maybe that's why they matched them up 1-to-1 just in case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense to just kind of, unify the two brands together on a collectible. Just because, a visor makes a helmet look so much cooler already. So it makes sense, but I know sometimes these big brands don't want to work with the other big brands because they're both, too cool for the other. But it would be cool to see that. If these, even the mini collectible helmets, they started coming with, blacked out Oakley visors, I'd buy some. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Do you think the NFL knows that the majority of the people that they market towards with these helmets don't care or don't even really know the difference between the helmets. So that's why they're just like, if it's just Riddell, we're gonna get our money's worth anyways. It doesn't matter.
That's a good point.
Because you know, there could be someone who's like, man, I really want a Indianapolis Colts Shut F7 helmet, but I have to buy a custom one. You know, I can't just buy this $150 one from my local team store.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, most people that, you know, buy this stuff don't even realize what brand it is. But they do have, you know, Riddell branding on these helmets, unlike the NFL stuff. So maybe that's, you know, part of it.
That is true.
Yeah,
it's like you said, because they put their bumpers on it usually, so it changes. It doesn't
Mhm.
usually even say Riddell anywhere on it. But I didn't think of that either.
Yeah, no, the collectibles have it. And maybe it's just one of those things. It's like super subtle that, you know, you go and buy, or even you just look at them, you see the word Riddell, and then, you know, 5-10 years down the line, you're buying like a real football helmet to play high school football. And, you know, Riddell just kind of comes to your mind because of that super subtle back of your mind thing. Marketing's weird. You know, they try to think of stuff like that. So maybe that's part of it.
I'm willing to bet they could only name Riddell instead of Shut or Visus or Zenith or anything else for that matter. That's got to be the most common one.
I have a quick tangent. Has anybody ever told you guys it's Riddell or Riddle?
I say Riddell a lot. I go back and forth between Riddell and Riddell. Yeah.
See, it makes me like wonder if I'm even saying it right. Because I've heard Riddell, I've heard Riddle, I've heard Riddell, and I've never like gotten confirmation that I'm right or wrong. So I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, so I do. So we've had this fight a lot.
You
and
have?
No, not me and you.
Okay. I'd say I don't remember that.
No, so I had a meeting one time with Riddell, and I asked them about this, and it's Riddell.
It is Riddell.
And I love when people in our comments that, like, as arrogant as it sounds, we know.
Well,
whatever. I'll sound arrogant to say that I know better than
now
most of the
we
comments
know.
about football.
Yeah. I was like kind of sure, but like not 100%.
Yeah, but like we'll get comments sometimes where it's like it's pronounced Riddell, and they'll spell it phonetically like Riddell.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, like we know the people. Like you're not going to correct us on the name of how to pronounce. It's not Vicus, it's not VCs, it's Visus.
Oh man,
yeah.
Right? It's Visus, it's Riddell, it's Shut, and it's Zenith. That's how they're pronounced. And I just love when people come at us like, oh, you're pronouncing Visus wrong. It's Visus or Vicus. Or something. I'm like, no.
I saw someone make a video and they were talking about their F7 and they called it a scut.
I've heard that too. Yeah, I've heard
Oh boy, those comments were hot.
I've heard that all the time. The Scut RXP.
The Scut.
That brings me back, dude. Back to the youth days. The Riddell revolution.
It's not a shut. Why would it be called a shut? That makes no sense.
The worst part, it would be like the Pee Wee equipment manager guy. I mean, they're just parents, but like they'd be the ones pronouncing it wrong and just like passing it down to all these kids. And now these kids are in our comments telling us we're wrong.
Well, your parents are wrong. Get it right.
Yeah. Tell them to learn it. Figure it out. Do better.
Do better.